Hey guys, Brandon Kowalas here, Director of the Salt Lake Community College Concurrent Enrollment Program, and today, in this episode, I'm going to be talking a little bit about marketing your concurrent enrollment program. Now, when I say marketing, I'm not talking about posters, videos, emails, brochures, like those sort of things. Those are promotional materials. Those are not marketing. They may be part of marketing or of a marketing campaign, but they are not marketing. Sometimes we get confused, or maybe that's just become sort of the norm out there, that, marketing materials. So we share our video and we share, whatever, and we're like, oh, that's marketing. No, that is not marketing. Marketing is a strategy that you're employing in order to accomplish some sort of objective. Now that objective does not have to be, because a lot of times we think marketing concurrent, that means getting more enrollments. That could be, but there are so many other things that you could market. We do very little marketing when it comes to trying to draw more enrollments in. Our marketing is more about how do we get students to learn the skills to be successful in college after high school. That goes back to our purpose. Or it may be, how do we get students to fill out this form? Or how do we get students to complete a survey? Or how do we get our, our teachers to do this thing? That is what strategic marketing is all about. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about strategic marketing today, some of the questions that we typically ask ourselves and we go through before we begin some sort of a marketing campaign, and hopefully that will be helpful to you as you think about, how do I market my program? How do I get people to do what I need them to do or want them to do in order to be successful within my program? So let's step over to the board. I'm going to go through some questions that you need to ask yourself when it comes to marketing. All right, so the first thing that you need to ask is, what do you want to accomplish? A lot of times, and I've seen this so much in higher ed, we simply just create a cool poster that we want to get information about our program, and we call that marketing. But what really are you trying to accomplish? And you need to be as specific as possible at this. The more specific you are, the more likely you're going to accomplish it. If you just say, I want to inform people, okay, well, so what? Like, why do you want people to be informed about your program? You need to know specifically, and what you can do to reference is think about your purpose. What are you trying to accomplish? Think about your goals. What are you trying to do? Is it trying to get more students to enroll? Is it trying to get teachers to do something? Is it trying to get students to complete a survey like I mentioned before? So think about, what are you trying to accomplish? And if you can't clearly define it, and you can't see in your mind some sort of an end when it is accomplished, then and something you can't measure, then you probably are just wasting time and money creating pretty documents that people are just going to throw away, or they're going to look at briefly and then throw away, and it's not going to have any sort of impact. So ask yourself, what are you trying to accomplish? Next, you need to ask yourself, who are your customers? And you know what? I'm going to circle this. I'm going to underline it. I'm going to put exclamation marks here, and I'm going to circle it, because you need to know who your customers are specifically. I taught a digital media class, and we talked a little bit about marketing, and we get down to like, who are your customers? And they say, well, I'm going to target, 20-year-olds out there who, between the ages of 20 and 25. I'm like, okay. And we're talking about building websites here. So you're going to build a website that, that everybody between the ages of 20 and 25 is just going to love. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay, so you're talking 20, 25-year-olds who love country music. They like watching sports. That's who you're targeting. Well, you're talking about 20 to 25-year-old women who love playing on Pinterest. Yeah, they probably won't like what I'm going to design. Okay, so you get my point. The more specific you can be, the more effective you're going to be at targeting whoever you're trying to target. So if you're targeting concurrent enrollment students, don't just think I'm targeting teenagers in high school, because teenagers who don't participate and teenagers who do participate in concurrent enrollment are a totally different group. Think about low performers versus middle performers versus high performers in high school. There are different things that those groups maybe prefer or don't prefer, do or don't do, family environments they come from or don't come from. So think about specifically, and maybe you're thinking, I want to target concurrent students, but really I'm targeting low-income, first-generation, ethnic minority students. Okay, that is way different than saying I want to target the students who are top performers. They come from families who've been going to college forever, and they're white, and they're all, middle and upper class. Like that messaging that you are going to create to try to encourage them to do something is going to be so totally different. So think about who are your customers specifically. That's gonna guide the materials you design and everything that you create as part of this marketing campaign. So think about that. Next, what do your customers want? So you might say, I'm trying to get the low-income, first-generation, middle-performing students to participate in concurrent enrollment. Okay, do they want to? Well, right now they don't, but I want them to. Okay, so what do they want then? Well, they want to participate in concurrent enrollment. Well, no, they don't. What do they want? Well, go out and talk to the students, because you're not going to know. You can ask the high schools and say, what do they want? Well, as a 50-year-old adult, I think this is what the teenagers want. They don't know. Ask the teenagers. Ask that group. Find that group and ask them, when it comes to a career, when it comes to college, what do you want? They might say, well, I don't want to go to college. I just want a career where I'm going to have fun and make a lot of money. That's what I want after I graduate from high school. I don't want to have to work, a ton. Okay, that is good to know, because when you know that, then when you target them, you're saying, hey, here's your materials, or here's your video, and it says concurrent enrollment is a great way for you to land a career that you love, because if you don't go to college, your options are going to be so limited. I mean, sure, you might make it as an entrepreneur, but wouldn't it be great to have a backup just in case that doesn't work? Because what we know is, and you can throw out some statistic, I don't know, 40% or 50 or 60 or 80% of entrepreneurs, don't end up really making it. I don't really know what that number is, but you could throw that out. So it may be a good idea to have a backup plan. And college can be an excellent backup plan, because you can choose what you love and you can pursue a path that will get you to a career that you love and that makes you a lot more money than if you don't go to school, your entrepreneurship plan fails, and then you end up, working in fast food or retail or manufacturing where you don't want to end up. So that's what you need to know about your customers. What do they want? Because then you can target a message that specifically resonates with them. And again, I can't emphasize this enough, but don't base the answer to this on what you assume or what you know as a parent to some teenagers, or what the adults in the high school are saying. Ask the person you're trying to target. If you're thinking about teachers, well, I want the teachers to upload their syllabus to our system so we can review it. Okay, what do teachers want? Well, they want things to be as simple and as fast as possible. Okay, so how am I going to target then my message to make sure that this takes as little time as possible, and how am I going to design my process so that it gives them what they want? Think about that. What do your customers want? Okay, once you've figured out those three things, the next thing you need to ask is, how do you add value to your customers? Because a lot of times when we think of marketing, especially when we think of it out in the commercial world, the corporate world, it's like it's all greed. It's all about, how do I convince people to do what they don't want to do so I can make money? And we can think of that even within education. I'm using marketing to get people to do what I want them to do so that I'm happy and I have what I want. That is the wrong approach to marketing. You need to think about, what do your customers need? What would add value to them? Now, out in the corporate world, a lot of times what they'll do is, give out free products. So maybe it's a physical product, they'll give that out and say, hey, try it out, see if you like it. If it adds value to you, this free product, then, I've got some more over here that I could sell you, and you'll know if it adds value. You could do that with like an online course. Like a lot of people who do private online courses give away maybe 2 lessons for free, which add value. It's not just like, a real poor example is people who give away these teaser courses that don't add any value, and you're just sitting there like, oh, it sounds really good, they've drawn me in, I'm excited I'm gonna get something, you finish watching the video and you're like, they didn't give me anything. Like, this is stupid, I hate this guy, I'm never gonna buy his stinking course. But if they add value, if they teach you, it's like, whoa, this is good, I can use this, I can use this. Next video, ooh, this is good, I can use this, I can use this, I can use this. Now you're ready to buy because those 2 videos that I watched added value to me. So this is one you have to be creative on when it comes to concurrent enrollment. Think about, what can I do to add value to my customers? So an example, one of the things that we're working on right now is developing a gamified system to help students to intentionally learn the skills they need to be successful in college after high school. And as part of this game, the value add, not only do they learn skills, but we're also giving them the ability to earn points so they can redeem awards, or they can redeem like these $10 gift cards. So we think about, because if we just create this game, I mean, they're not going to do it if it doesn't add value. You're not going to do anything if it doesn't add value to you. So why should the students or the teachers be any different? So does it save them time? Does it save them money? Does it give them something? Does it give them knowledge or information or a product or whatever? Think about how you can add value to your customers so they're getting as much as you are. Next, ask yourself, what are your customers using and doing now? A lot of times what people do in marketing is they have these focus groups, which in most cases are totally ineffective, because you bring people into like this room and then you present the product or the service and say, here's the thing, what do you think? Would you use it? Would you buy it? And they're like, yeah, this is awesome, best thing ever, of course I'll use it. And then they walk out and you're all excited, man, customers love it, let's create this. You create it, you throw it out there, nobody buys it. Because they think it's a great idea, but when it comes down to forking out their money, they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that. If you give it to me for free, I'll use it, but I'm not going to buy it. So ask yourself, what are your customers using or doing now? So this could be, for example, maybe they're all using text messages. Well, then don't try to get them to use Facebook when they're not using it. Use texting. So if you find out what they're using now, then you can leverage that. If students are walking down the hall and they're checking out the posters, they're reading them and they're like, oh, this is great. Or the high schools say, we have huge success with posters. We put them up and students are just really engaged in whatever the thing is we put the poster up for. They're using posters. Use posters. So don't try to say we're going to create a brochure or a little card and just because students said, yeah, they would like it, and then you try to use it and nobody uses it. Find out what they're using now, what activities they're engaged in. So if you're trying to reach parents, don't say we're going to host a parent night when only 15% of parents ever attend these nights. But if you find out that you're trying to target maybe Hispanic families and the Hispanic students, and you find out, wow, a lot of these families are involved in their local churches. Okay, they're already involved in it. How can I tap into that? Can I talk to the pastor or to the priest and see if, maybe I can come and do a little presentation on education at one of their community nights or something like that. Think about what they're using and doing now and leverage it. Last of all, ask yourself, and this is extremely important. In fact, if you can't answer this one, don't do any of this. How do you test and measure success? If you can't do this, then how do you even know if your efforts in creating this campaign and creating materials and spending all this money was even effective at all? You need to figure out, how do I measure whether or not the efforts I put in resulted in conversions, whatever kind of conversions. more enrollments, more completions of the evaluation or the survey, or more engagement in the classroom, whatever that is. You need to figure out, how do I measure that? And how do you test it? So an example of testing, a little while back we wanted to get students to, we wanted more completion rates in our student course evaluations. So we went through sort of this process, and then we designed an email to be sent to students, because really we didn't have a texting system that we could send out mass texts at the time. So we created an email, and we realized that a lot of students didn't use the email, their parents used the email. So we designed an email. We designed 3 different subject headers, and we designed 3 different messages. All of them said generally the same thing, but in drastically different ways. And then we had 12 different variations of emails using those 6 items to test out. So we sent the first one to, 1,000 students or 500 students or whatever it was. 500 students, sent it out. And they were all students at maybe a certain school or district or whatever. And then we sent another version and another version and another version. Sent those out, and then later we were able to dump data from our survey tool and see when students took it and which classes they took it for. And so then we could measure, we sent this out, and then on this date, they responded in this group. So we could say, okay, this email had, like maybe a 15% response or conversion rate. This one had 5%. This one had 20%. This one had 2%. This one had 5%, and so on. So then we could look at it and say, ooh, well, there's something about the combination of subject and content in those 2, we believe, they had an impact. So next time we send it out, let's use those 2 emails and see if there's a big difference, if we still get around that number. And then we finally narrow it down to 1 single email, we refine it, it's like this one works the best. Now instead of getting 2%, we're getting 15 or 18% of a conversion or a response rate. So make sure that before you begin this, you can think of ways to measure whether or not you're successful. All right, now there is so much more stuff I could cover about marketing, but like you, I've got a job and I can't spend all day talking about marketing. So I would strongly encourage you to do some research yourself on marketing. And I would encourage you to look outside of higher education. And the reason I say that is because of what I said before. A lot of times within higher education, even at the institutional marketing level, the focus is on branding and designing publications and materials. It's not strategic marketing that employs a strategy to accomplish an objective. So I would encourage you to look around out there. There are some unbelievable resources on marketing in the corporate and the private world out there that can be used and tweaked to work within an educational environment. So I encourage you to do that. All right, so hopefully that's been great for you. As always, be sure to post your comments, any questions or ideas in the video below us. And until the next episode, remember that nothing is possible if you are resourceful. Even if you don't have resources, you can be resourceful. You can figure things out. Be resourceful, think outside the box, and last of all, have the courage to act.